What's up guys? Today we're going to be checking out 2014's Godzilla on 4K Blu-ray. This isn't going to be a review on the movie itself, I'm just going to be sharing some of my thoughts on the video and the audio quality. Before we get into it, if you're new to the channel and you're into home theater and watching new movies, consider tapping the subscribe button for new weekly videos. Now, let's go over a few tech specs. The movie was shot in 2.8K. It's got a 2K DI, it's rated PG-13, and the aspect ratio is 239:1. So it's got black letterbox bars. Well, the first thing I noticed was how much cleaner the image looked over the older Blu-ray. The Blu-ray was really dark, and the blacks were really muddy. Having higher resolution definitely tightened the image up in the darker scenes, and coupled with HDR, made shadow detail easier to see with better gradational tones. I still think the blacks kind of edge on being crushed, and in the really dark parts, objects can be hard to see separation. I'd say if your display has a hard time with handling blacks, then you may end up in a Game of Thrones situation. As for the color palette, it isn't going to give you a bright, vibrant experience. It isn't too different from the Blu-ray. The start of the movie has a warmish look, so skin tones can appear rosier than normal. And during the latter half, the movie takes on a darker, grayer, cooler tone, so there's nothing colorful. You'll still get some eye-popping highlights when things are blowing up, and Godzilla's atomic breath looks just as good as it does in King of the Monsters. Detail-wise, I think it's a nice upgrade over the 1080p version. Again, the image is tighter with more resolvable detail. Close-ups have better definition, so facial hair and pores come through better. The textures on clothing are cleaner as well. If you look closely, you can see the rib texture on Serizawa's shirt. I wouldn't say this is a 4K crisp transfer, but there are times it's pretty close. As for the CGI, the added resolution made for a more realistic monster effect. Godzilla's skin was more textured and even looked great towards the end, where the monsters were fighting in a very dimly lit city. Those destroyed buildings also look less blurry coming from the regular Blu-ray. Audio is now in Dolby ATMOS, and I think it's a decent mix. Now before you ask what it is, I will leave a link at the end of this video for the ATMOS viewer and where you can get it. Taking a look at the Dolby ATMOS viewer during the power plant meltdown, you can see it's got some active lower channels, and there's some dynamic movement in the high channels. There's glass breaking and sirens going off overhead. It's a good immersive scene. Next is when the Mutos are waking up. There's a very busy lower level, and there's those power lines crashing down from above. You can see the yellow balls are moving in different directions, and the speakers will light up green when they're active. Now during the fight between Godzilla and the Mutos, you'd think the high channels would be working overtime, but that wasn't the case. It's busy in the lower channels, but there's barely anything happening in the heights. I was expecting buildings falling from above or Godzilla roaring above my head. Sadly, you're not going to hear any of that. During the quieter scenes, there is some good ambiance and the occasional overhead chopper flyover, so the movie does have a wide, spacious soundstage and sounds like a big production movie. As for bass response, it's got tons of it. When the Muto sends out the pulse at the power station and the power goes out, your subs are gonna reach ridiculously low and maybe loosen a filling.
Jesus! Check the grid, hit us with the EMP. We're losing power!
When Godzilla is fighting in the city, for the few seconds he's on screen, the bass is gonna hit hard and dig as low as it does in King of the Monsters, so there's definitely some demo-worthy bass in this. And dialogue is always a good time in the center channel and always easy to hear. So for audio, I'm gonna go with an 8.1. It's a decent Atmos mix with some decent immersive moments. Unfortunately, the moments you want to get that immersive bubble, you know, the fight scenes, you're not gonna get it. Bass response on the other hand was killer, and there's a bunch of scenes that'll push your subwoofers. For video, I'm going 8.4. This looks better than the regular Blu-ray. The blacks are an improvement, and there's a noticeable increase in detail and in clarity, especially in the darker shots. It does lean on the softer side rather than the crispy side, but I do think it's a worthy upgrade if you're a fan of the movie, even if Godzilla is barely in it. So what are your thoughts on this new transfer of Godzilla, and which movie did you prefer? This one or the second one? Leave a comment and let us know. Now if you want to grab this disc, I'll leave some links for it down below in the video's description. As always guys, thanks for watching. If you want, you can follow us on social media, and if you want to support the channel and get exclusive content and great discounts on audio and video gear, then stop by our Patreon page. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys again in the next video.